Yeah, another video without much point, but, you know, what the hell. We'll respond to it.
Intelligent people must realize that after worshiping a genius like inmendham for years on end, it probably surprises followers to learn that there's a whole field of philosophy, metaethics, devoted to understanding the nature of morality.
Oh, whatever. Yeah, right. Ethics written by what? Crazy people like Nietzsche. The ethics of, oh, just do what the DNA says. Yeah, be the best monster you can be. You know, be the super flatworm and cover the earth with your genetic code. Oh, how brilliant. Man, nobody could think of that. Default to being a selfish cunt. Oh, shit, that's just so philosophical.
Inmendham takes issue with the latter word, saying it should be ethics, because he's too dumb to understand that ethics and morality are used more or less interchangeably
By philosophers. No, they're not interchangeably by philosophers. I guess I would say that if you actually did a survey, you would find that most modern thinkers who talk about, especially political ethics, talk about ethics. They talk about it as if this is a construct of pragmatism, you know, a contracting of exchanges in value, and there are no moral doctrines. There is this fundamental understanding that, you know, your imprisonment is worth a certain price, and if I'm going to do it, if I'm going to exploit you or take something from you, I have to exchange. I have to fairly compensate you. That kind of thing. So that's it's elevated to ethics when people start talking about constitutions and rights and that kind of thing, because they're not from a god, they're not an edict. Morality is a word completely, and I think unsalvageably, mired in the boggy quicksand of religion and doctrine, imposed by a bigoted god.
philosophers and laypeople. In universities, for instance, normative ethics and metaethics are both taught under the more inclusive category of moral philosophy.
Yeah, well, you know, again, it's not my fault that some professors are stupid. You know, what can I say? I'm just saying the word moral, I think, does have a distinction in terms of it being a dogma, an authoritative edict. And ethics has the more reasonable, secular, you have to make a rational justification for what you're doing.
Perhaps if inmendham would give some reason for preferring one.
That's the funny part. I mean, I've done it in so many videos, right? Almost every video where I say the word morality, I say, wait, this is my definition of value. And, you know, I don't like the word morality. I don't think smart people should use the word morality. I think it's just stupid. Morality is just so mired in bigotry against homosexuality, or, you know, don't masturbate, don't do drugs are bad, okay? Morality is just silly doctrine, dogmatic, unresponsive to nuance and circumstance. It's useless as a guideline.
One over the other, but no, he's far too stupid to draw such sensible distinctions.
Well, again, so anybody watching this video, you think that's a fair cop kind of thing? Luddite says somebody else wrote the first 3.5 minutes of this. But he's obviously reading it and speaking it as if he believes it. So do you believe that you haven't heard me in a video make this distinction between morality and other words describing value equations? That I haven't made deliberate efforts to stay away from the word morality and use words like value and ethics? Then I guess you're just your lying is so malicious and so overt. That yes, you do qualify as evil, an evil liar.
Like that. Some of these philosophers deny that there are any normative facts, i.e., facts that make it such that certain actions are right while others are wrong, and so on. They are classified as moral nihilists. Others argue that such facts do exist and thus are called moral realist. Inmendham falls into the latter category. Of course, he'd never offer a concept approaching his sophistication of normative facts, though. Instead, he's of the view that simply asserting the...
Well, I don't know. Yeah, simply asserting that I'm conscious and I'm informed by my consciousness. Oh, what an outrageous thing to say. Ooh.
Intrinsic badness of pain is sufficient to not only prove that certain actions are right and wrong in a robustly mind-independent sense, but also that this demonstrates that sentient experiences are the only things that really matter. In other words...
Yes, in other words, a painting has no value if there's no sentient to get off on it. That's right, nothing has any value unless there's some sentient that's going to be pleased or comforted by its existence. I mean, certainly you don't need aspirin if there's no headaches.
Negative utilitarianism for brain-damaged orangutans. You will never hear an argument from Inmendham that goes beyond bald assertion. You see...
Oh, well, whatever. You hear plenty of arguments, but the point is yeah, I'm making an assertion that if you really look at where the value is derived, it's in the value of the sentient organism's capacity to feel good or to feel bad. And that's where all value gains its meaning. Wow, what a crazy idea. I mean, how did I miss that airplane wheels are where all the value is? Or basketballs, or whatever, golden trophies.
Inmendham has decided that since pain is bad for him, where almost no one denies that his or her own pain is bad,
Well, I mean, I'm just saying, you either understand what consciousnesses are and how they work. They create positive and negative sensations, and we all know why they exist, is to encourage or discourage actions that are conducive to a DNA molecule's, manifest destiny. That's all. I mean, you either agree or you disagree. You either think you're doing something different than all the other sentients or you don't. This isn't that complicated. I mean, either your pain and suffering is a thing that's actually happening, and your reaction to it of visceral repulsion and visceral attraction is evidence of something, or it's not. You don't think it matters. So either you think it matters if 6 million Jews are in a concentration camp, or you don't think it matters. But if you can't accept that as a premise, then there's no fucking conversation. You can't talk about value if the most valuable thing in the universe, by any rational approximation, is something you're going to say doesn't exist. Then why the fuck would you have a conversation about ethics?
Imbecile really thinks he's developed something useful in the way of ethics.
Well, I never even thought about its usefulness. I'm just saying this is my description of the reality. I look out my fucking window, I go, look, there's green leaves, and there's little flowers, and there's birds, and there's bugs. I'm describing what I'm seeing, you stupid fuck. Is that beyond your comprehension? Do you say I'm not seeing it? Is that your accusation? I don't really see the green plant sitting out there? Fuck you.
For matters in a mind-independent way. What a leap of logic.
A mind-independent way. I mean, exactly how would a sentience be mind-independent? I mean, exactly where did I give any indication that I thought sentience was mind-independent? Oh, I don't think I did that, ever. Liar, 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 liar. So these are supposed to still be somebody else's words he's reading. So, I mean, even if you assholes can't be honorable about anything else, you could at least say, why are you reading somebody else's script? I mean, as if YouTube wasn't full of enough chicanery and bullshit. You're going to read somebody else's remarks and then tie your own remarks into them and make no distinction between the two?
Has it occurred to this bygone method that generalizing from...
Yeah, bygone method. Do you have any evidence of that? No. Okay, this fat pedophile. You molest your kids. Everybody knows it. That's why you have them.
A putatively mind-dependent fact. Two robustly mind-independent principles, absent any argument, is something...
Mind-independent fact, mind-independent principles. I mean, really, you were describing a circumstance. Rocks don't have brains. Rocks aren't sentient. Parameciums have some complexity, but they don't have neurons. They don't have electricity flowing between neurons. Therefore, there's no reason to believe they are sentient. Yeah, this is the fucking goddamn grammar school biology that you think is somehow, well, you're just making that shit up.
That only Gary Busey on speed could take seriously. Consider inmendham that
Where that, what YouTube you doing
there
there?
are people out there who think that their pain is bad for them, but who have no issue torturing other people for fun. In fact, they think...
Right, and what do you want me to say to those people? What, that makes sense? That it's sensible? Okay, I don't like being in pain, but I'm going to assume my consciousness is... Yes, Jeffrey Dahmer thought he had a special consciousness. He actually did. He thought his consciousness being pleased was much more meaningful to the universe than the other sentient beings, and therefore that's why he could do what he did. That was his rationalization. Do you think I should take him seriously as a philosopher? That his claims were seriously something that somebody should actually bother wasting some time analyzing and deconstructing? Or should they just say preposterous ego meth head? Or pedophile crazy fuck? I don't think we have to listen to Jeffrey Dahmer as a philosopher. I don't think he's making a claim that's anywhere near reasonable or sensible or connected to anything like, oh, look, there's green stuff out my window. He's rationalizing an excuse to act on a sick desire. Period. He's lying to himself to create an excuse to do something. Why would I take that seriously as a philosophy?
That the latter is the best thing in life. We call them sadists. You see, how is it that
I don't have to call them as sadists. I can call them wrong. Okay? If they think their sentience is worth more than the other sentience, and they have absolutely no evidence to indicate why they think that, except they want to think that, then they're called wrong.
we know that the fidelity of your grip on moral reality, as it supposedly applies to everyone, is indisputable.
Well, again, this is not a fucking my grip, my thing, I'm selling this. This is a simple description of reality where I'm saying, look, if you say I'm wrong, then explain how I've made a logical mistake. I look out the window, there's green stuff, there's stuff. Where's my logical disconnect? Where did I make the logical mistake? I sit here, I land on planet Earth, I realize that I have feelings, and I realize that there's feelings I don't want to experience and feelings I don't mind experiencing, and then I go the crazy step number 2 of recognizing that, oh, wait a minute, all these other things are doing exactly the same thing. They're having experiences they don't want to have and experiences they do want to have. And just like me, the idea is to optimize how many of the good things you have and minimize the number of the bad things. And man, that is somehow there's a corruption in that fucking deduction. Well, go ahead, explain to me the corruption. Explain to me the stupidity, the colossal mistake I made. Useless troll.
Beautiful. While the sadist surely has it all wrong. Because most people care about the suffering of others?
Well, again, I've talked about this word caring. If you want to keep using it, that's your prerogative. I'm not using that word. I'm saying understanding is going to cause you the symptom of caring. Okay, if you understand, you're just not going to be able to avoid it because you're going to personalize something that's happening to somebody else through understanding. So you might have the symptom of caring, but caring has nothing to do with the explicit statement that my consciousness is not doing something super different than all the other consciousnesses. And if I have an observation that my consciousness would prefer states of being, then it seems just as rational to assume the other things have a preferable state of being.
Can you say argumentum ad populum? I know that you like to claim that others have made use of this fallacy, but apparently for you, the rules don't apply. How ironic.
The fallacy of what? Again, you have to demonstrate to me where there's a fallacy in the silly projection that I'm not a super consciousness.
That coming from a domineering, imperious fuck who thinks that he's determined how all people should behave in every...
well, whatever. What I've determined is there's value in the sentient experience. You're saying that determination is somehow not connected to value equation, not connected to reality. I'm saying it's the core function, it's the only thing that makes any value in this universe. You're not giving me a counter argument, you're just calling me names, which is your prerogative because you're dim-witted and stupid. And all you have is vocabulary and nothing behind it. You're an illogical toad. You can't even figure out to use a capital G with your capital E. Because you're stupid.
Conceivable circumstance. And for the record, I am a moral realist. I'll have to repeat myself.
I mean, again, he's not a moral realist. The guy who wrote the script is a moral realist, apparently. This I am. I don't know why somebody would say I am something when they're not going to identify who they are. Who cares what you are when you're an anonymous troll?
For your dumb ass. Taking issue with how someone argues for a conclusion is not tantamount to rejecting that conclusion.
Well, it is if that's all you've got, and that's all you've got here. What? You're just writing a bunch of non-meth head... I mean, really, you're the one wasting your time on insults that don't even go to my character, that don't say anything because they're just preposterously not true.
You knuckle-dragging vine swinger.
Apparently this is something Luddite added, so that's his contribution. So they're having a discussion about, well, my ad hominem attacks about your performance are not somehow the substance of the argument, and yeah, they are. That's all you seem to have.
It is the mark of a philosopher to not see a mirror in everything capturing his vision.
Not to see a mirror in everything capturing his vision. So this I guess is Luddite reading his own script now. We're past the 3-minute mark, 3:30. What does that even mean? Okay, whatever. Whatever. I don't know. What? That sounds like poetry. It doesn't sound like philosophy. Newsflash.
Be zetetic irrevocably, both introspectively as regards one's belief-forming mechanisms, and always relative to the self-understood strength of one's position.
Yes, the self-understood strength of one's position. Again, there's no doubt about sincerity here, is there? Have I left something in a hidden door somewhere? Have I referred to, well, as per the magic formula I've applied? No. I've simply described my observations as an individual living on planet Earth, and you're the one saying it's wrong without any explanation of the flaw.
Proceeding in this way, it's no surprise that A.J. Ayer completely abandoned logical positivism, that Wittgenstein came to reject his picture theory of language.
Yeah, I'm sure everybody did everything because everybody goes through transitions in their life. But again, why this somehow is relevant, right? So because somebody failed, we have to assume everyone will fail. Because somebody fell down a staircase, nobody else can go down that staircase because they proved you can't do it. The guy fell down, so it's obvious that nobody can ever go down that staircase. I mean, this is just so fucking useless as an argument. Because every fat, stupid-looking asswipe with headphones and no shirt on is a pedophile. I'm supposed to assume you are, too.
That Heidegger renounced and inverted Dasein as window to being, or that Nietzsche said of his own work, The Birth of Tragedy.
Well, again, to even mention Nietzsche as if this guy is some sort of authority like Einstein or something, is just such a fucking disgusting abuse of language and social memery or something. That somehow this guy's name should mean something to somebody who's even rational. Nietzsche never suggested I mean, it's so easy to find fault with everything. Tearing things down is the easiest thing to do in the world. Okay, building something up, supporting something, that's hard. And he didn't do any of that. Nietzsche was just a hatchet job. He was an idea a rapist and nothing more.
That it was, to quote, badly written, ponderous, embarrassing, and without the will to logical cleanliness.
Well, there you go. And that was all of his work fit into that category. He never finished anything, never completed it, never connected it. Just a bunch of disconnected, sometimes mildly interesting rants on flaw.
Never have I seen so much as a particle of intra-evaluation within the bounds of EfiLOLism.
Intra-evaluation in the bounds of EfiLOLism. So our obligation is to intra-evaluation. I mean, is this something you do every day, like washing the dishes, this intra-evaluation? I mean, this is a term you've heard before? I haven't. 54 years on this planet, I haven't heard any intra-evaluation. I'm sorry, I'm at a loss for trying to figure out exactly what does that mean. I should be introspective about whether the philosophy has character? Well, yeah, I've done that. We've all done that. You have to do that. When you have a philosophy that goes against the passions of the majority, yeah, you're usually going to have to test it a little bit to make sure you're not riding a crazy tricycle.
It's platitude spewing.
Platitude. So it's a platitude to say something like suffering sucks, to say something like the fundamental process of evolution is consumption, reproduction, cannibalism, and addiction. It's a platitude to say precious commodities controlled by crude forces. Those are just platitudes. They don't have any substantive. They're not substantive descriptions of our reality. So what are you going to do if this is what you people say? These are claims you validate and say these are reasonable descriptions of the reality. And I'm supposed to take you more seriously than a Christian or something. You're just slandering. You're not making a counter argument. This is just a slander.
Shoddy ideology of the lowest.
It's a shoddy ideology. So if you think evolution is an insensitive force, okay, that has no regard for attrition or waste, in its manufacture of its perfect killing machine, essentially, dominating machine, and that's basically what it is. It's a master race maker, that it's kind of invidious by its very function, that it's harsh and brutal in its treatment of beauty. That's just doctrine. That's just crap you read in a comic book.
Right. Given that ideologies are prone towards circular inference chains, such that can be intensely coherent, though irredeemably closed in on themselves.
Yeah, well, this is just more talk. Like, well, I would like to make a counter-argument, but gee, their argument is all loopity-doopty, and I can't get around it. Yeah, well, you can't get around suffering sucks, that's for sure. And you can't get around that nature's stupid. You really can't get around precious commodities controlled by crude forces. And that's just doesn't sound like a very good fact. And that's just the truth of it. And you can't make an argument, and so you have to evade the argument with this crap. I don't know how to argue that. Oh, that's right, because it's true, and it has a consequence. And you don't want to believe it, so therefore you play the game.
That EfiLOLism has its intentions is good. That inmendham and company are too stupid to see them, not so good.
Well, whatever even that means. I mean, I'm not able to see my intentions. I don't know. I coined the phrase. Shit.
In the same lung-cancerous breath that inmendham denies the self, he decries procreation as selfish.
Alright, deny the self, and then I call procreation selfish. So exactly how did I deny the existence of the self, and how did I deny that humans are fundamentally selfish? Where was this change or cheat of fair description? Where? This doesn't make any... I've never denied the self. I've denied that you can play, that the self is the only thing in the game. I've denied, what I'm denying is that you are the only piece playing the game.
He declares consciousness as etiologically inefficacious, and then evokes agent causality.
Ineffectively, incausacious, and then blah 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 blah. So he's making some argument that I'm saying, which I'm not saying, right? That somehow consciousness is immune to education or change. No, never stated. But there is no free will, so yeah, I'm not retracting the fact that there's no way to make a free out of your consciousness. It's a recipe, and there's only certain ingredients in it, and you can only make certain things with the ingredients you've acquired. You have to have the ingredients to build the better you.
Co-evolve with his judgment that his hedonic experience and axiological interpretation of it has self-externally binding evaluative import.
Never stated. I'm pointing out that, yeah, I say tomato, you say tomato. That we all have a different way of saying it, but we're all saying something. So I'm saying we all feel for different reasons, okay? And it doesn't matter why you feel. It doesn't matter what makes you horny. It doesn't matter what makes you hungry. Alright, it just matters that you get hungry, that you need food, that you need comfort. Right? It doesn't matter what makes you uncomfortable. It just matters that living uncomfortable is not good. That's the simple statement here. So again, it's another lie. So Hafladay, all you people are just supporting an overt, aggressive lie, okay, that I've somehow stated that my personal preferences are right. That I think the Mets are the baseball team and they should win the World Series. And that's the kind of crap I'm selling here. That I feel it in my bones and therefore you should think it because I feel it. Have those arguments been made? No. You're just liars. Despicable liars, Hafladay.
Does he reject simpliciter, the veridical status of the experience of others, or inimical to his own?
I don't know what that means, but I obviously have stated quite obviously that other people's feelings have the same richness and integrity as my own feelings. And I've even extended that to most mammals and much of sentience. That their sentience may even have more character than my own. That their need for care may be greater than my own. Or whatever. Yeah, like that's so hard to do. I mean, oh man, there's no way I could take a picture of Luddite and play noises over it. Gee, I win the argument that way? You know, and this guy's talking about deficiencies in philosophy and the shame of the disgrace of philosophy. Like he has like he values intelligence and integrity and any of that stuff, and then he resorts to monkey sounds on somebody's image. You're saying that I think that's the definition. You were looking for a duplicity somewhere. Duplicity, heal thyself. Duplicity. I stated before, your Roshef is dog shit. All of the image is dog shit. You're a dog with shit for brains. Something like that. Until next time. Pitiful.